Ooh.
No, I'm unmuted. Need pizza.
So I'm confused. Which email chain are we using? Wait, don't say anything racist, please.
I got the second email chain, so that works for me.
Wait, what?
So what, email chain are we using?
The second one, because I guess my email just doesn't work.
But I didn't include the 1AC in it because everyone said they got it, but it was just to check if it went through.
Can y'all hear me now? I don't think my mic is working before.
We can hear you.
By the way, where is the recording of this gonna go? If you want to find it.
My understanding is that it's being streamed on YouTube, with the other UK stuff.
Oh, okay, but it says it's being. Oh, okay. So it's just gonna be oh, wow. Okay.
Well, there is going to be a recording to whoever hosted this, but I doubt they need it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we all have the one I see, I'll start. Advantage 1 is emergence. The modern world accelerates too quickly for natural and artificial intelligence to adapt to the boat app to anticipate cognitive failures. Clever 22. Cognitive board destabilized society, fractured lines, create false with a delusion of misimple, amplifying social polarization, requiring new alert systems to cohere with cyber networks, in our modern world with human and machine cognitive warfare, already here trend lines, technological interference, and facilitate integration awareness, is necessary to anticipate cognitive tests and the fantasy of cognitive superiority is out of the bottom, but organizing with the machines unlocks new forms of cognition, jobs like hardly 22. Information technology increase exponentially. Our ignorance increases physical cognitive. How do we responsible for only sustainable military and codification? Especially in anything connecting the human biases and possess of delusion of knowledge. They think we know more than we do. Cognitive superiority or critical. Human machine learning set MIT dealer powerful weapons and smuggler's use. Algorithmically armed to just ethical imperative and failure to cognitive causation from the collapse of the epistemic common deterrence. Impact CB21. Events is information warfare, technological armor is in information wars, lead MID, information WMD, destruction is also comes to the epistemic comments and exhaustion of the cooperation for all parties on all sides of the adequate meaning of the world epistemic analysis and by this most we cannot really trust our officials and our own military who have been subject to information manipulation over time, confusion degrees, decision making until the social system collapses and exponential growth means that every 10 years it will be 100 times more powerful. Alexander 16. Co-comparing with over Champions League to still take off scenarios ridiculous hours and much shorter window Super Premier shrunk more also Super Premier in 2016 100 times faster than Super Premier and 2006 AI make breakthroughs every 3 hours each raising minus has the opportunity to take advantage of the discovery feedback will be exponential and embrace the cyborgs. They won't trust us unless we learn to anticipate their needs via cognitive early warning system. The clocks 22. Massive information require intelligence software human system relationship key to targeting cognitive warfare massive data exceed human capabilities artificial system is a form of dual intelligence system making process restricted to the well-defined objectives where intelligence making our fragile and intelligence machine accessible to intrusion system is establishment and constructive performance monitoring quality of relationship advanced ways of physical monitoring is a degree in which user believes that system communicates with promote transparency and communication and human AI relationships are inevitable but mutual trust is in a breakup leads to a human machine or Abraham and Cochran at all 21 events of technology transformation and reality alliances based on opportunities and cognitive biotech tech to enhance me thinking and act normally contributing to the limitation of human power scientists while brains with interferences of flow of information about biodirection moving out psychology and AI human trust solves all impacts through cognification FTC 19. Yeah, common level crisis, transform molecular division, analyze the responses to these and gather data as measurable improvements in rebel complex. When we realize the root cause communication and failing natural disaster will expand human AI predetermined diversity notified clear to depend on demographics AI will provide solution and analysis on large scale data, targeted trust AI help with context coloring and central process of trust and quality transparency information governance urban areas AI plus AI fidelity provide predictive solutions and distrust causes global war. That way 16 so Gore 17. For civilization, there for many cases worse than 16 even small if a small fraction were to live in a health circumstance, the amount of suffering will be vastly greater than produced by all atrocities in earth century. We responsibility suffering was we bring all suffering of an astronomical scale, possibly to have the future negative value was a serious suffering may be limited to a fraction of population and cover these many suffering some more significantly than has existed in human history on a total level suffering cannot be counterbalanced by mental state support. Devoid of anything about some experience as doing simulation where soon tons of outcome depending on the value of some scenarios by numbers. It's kind of weird today. It's just might become more productive. Your next break is 49 years you which you have been born with using traps and armor civilization and free will impossible outcomes might be as well singleton and appropriately programming super challenges on submarine 17 Minecraft about power resistant destroy. Yeah, I learned my reduce you tell and super intelligent my suitable content from that you suffer submarine restoration to send me detail enough to be conscious and be the trade yeah, limit most likely to reduce versus suffering out easier I go and ensure that they will not create a future negative value. NATO CW yes from C versus vulnerability outside of strong cognitive security. The human AI bond is too vulnerable. Clever and 22. Spontaneous use of greater integration, cognitive security, greater integration. I use those who can all of the cognitive factorization of human errors, MBIC, and anthropotechnical augmented operator, providing information resilience and superiority lead to work with cognitive work for nothing about cognitive work must go beyond a breakthrough posture. And two is anticipation and anticipates cognitive tests and vulnerabilities before they escalate. NATO sees all the system only works of every NATO countries and Chelsea at 21. CWA's contributed to the identification of cognitive tests against fast working steps and the trans political adversary project to develop early awareness of which can and cognitive task creating single large database distributed all native regions self-learning pockets creating new every new mobile access to retail database via designated national representative replicated in headquarters for future learning where the whole process is conducted very short time there is already existing hazard collectors are going to be based on the transfer into our database and the plan the United States program ought to develop, operate, and maintain a cognitive warfare early warning system capable of detecting and deterring cognitive attacks via affordance and effect with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization advantage to its deterrence. NATO poses to respond to cognitive attacks and decimates deterrence credibility by the Channel 22. Mission to find out states are going to manage future combat hybrid become more rare NATO collective awareness is going to mean work for aggressive difficulties that identify perpetrators and credibility values so the deliver hybrid operation interested the deterrence credibility backsliding causation equals 18. Versus theorists assume that we point to the lines, we assume the steps can be effective, would push boundaries of range of things, how should we use a single new track could be lethal and comic responsive escalation control might be misleading. Russian comic will be a leap escalation, both sides are underestimate result. The plan develops conventional cognitive capabilities, attribution of reciprocity, key outer, and villain 18. First has found different disinformation, creative, powerful, walkable implications on political disagreements, transfer tribunals, and multiple types of information warfare are artificial being lumped into systems overlapping whatever should deterrence effectively the distinct that becomes obscure and the domain credibility critical component of deterring relies on reciprocity attribution of work creative goal reciprocity opportunity cannot create viable defense posture. We must take an active approach to deterrence, prevent escalation beyond bombs failure, green lights, Taiwan, takeover Balio, it goes to 22. Stability and stability paradox deterrence and both is lower level acting to avoid the escalation when you could have differently more likely to find words that regards of evidence is here being more coordinated Pakistan versus that's using neither Ukraine or Southern that's how US is handling current situation ability to and goes nuclear paradigm 22 odds of China were growing issues with peaceful reunification balance of partnership in China's force of risky operation result in accidents emission could be intentional escalation US needs to stop Chinese aggression which would precipitate combat that will bolster deterrence and affordance and effect or necessary signals are sent out in combat areas and social spheres of course and I'll tell you one. Russia invade Ukraine, including threats of Ukraine soldiers over phones able to hide in the mechanism to target with artillery fire mix high social media kind of warfare is any some of the symbols that they're injecting. We work more on an abstract level. And allies say that the efforts to counter cognitive warfare are popular within the alliance, but fail absent the Kowalski to cover support information dissemination and international response to unify UK, Australia, I think social networks to block Russian services EU bans money Canada enough funding for G7 responses are by hand awareness pressure for gourmet possession which is advances for Russia and NATO's instrument, not a theology. They must present the consequences are by Sweeney 20. Further policy I know should be the focus rather describing all the NATO's as an instrument of theology being realistically what Libya does not mean stop ethics, hunting policy was mistake straight lines and day-to-day cooperation and deterrence argument that NATO needs to be taken away from policymakers that is backward decision should be examined, make better decisions and smarter describing as effective tool and avoiding complex discussions of NATO in favor of monolithic criticism is Western imperialism, defending Russian aggression and ignoring authoritarian threats makes NATO worse. Koshi 22. NATO not grow with the US dictated foreign demands burden enlargement anti-NATO ignores the regional voice and Eastern Europeans with agency Tucker Carlson live in NATO expansion Russian foreign policy perpetrated the same Russian aggression happens in primary reason Eastern Europe countries have the protection and NATO has been guaranteed sovereignty members have shown strong public support on a model that members to be ardently against US demands to support for to the NATO originates and oppression from this strong demands of protection. Plus, we acknowledge the local realities will reproduce incompetent perspective that discussion without delivering regional histories and imperialists projected they are really saying countries should be accepted or lost a second class station. One famous critics and US imperialism they promote the great power rivals and NATO is good. Don't tear it down yet. Paris 14. Although also have been failures over workers been good at preventing recurrence of fighting singles unconvincing not about the oil dual amount of demonstrate peacekeeping process board reduce it society single back and violence there conclude the recent conclusion analyzing post-conflict countries that have not received the peace missions and holding on to their practice include intensity of preceding wars have become finding the replicated modified and reconfirmed many times that ensure that they can have a will body except the physical relationship and finding strong they many be counter true and lingering fail images of peacekeeping including Salvador and Korea Cambodia Cambodia East Timor Malaysia and Gustavo. Have to credit Gustavo.
I'll send that out right now.
All right, cool. Then in that case, I'll wait for it.
Is everyone cool if I just drop that in the body if it's just one card?
It's good with us.
Oh, are we starting prep after you got it?
We're showing cross after, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
You're good. You're good.
I sent it.
Okay, cool. You good for cross?
Yeah.
Okay. On the second advantage, you talk about Petty John or your Petty John 22 evidence. It talks about how the odds of China going to war with Taiwan is likely. Why?
Like, why does our authors conclude it's likely, or why did what's like?
Yeah,
why-
sure.
what
Your
do-
authors. Yes, your authors.
Okay, so Petty John kind of analyzes the trend of like foreign policy interactions between Taiwan and Russia, and Petty John takes this analysis and he concludes that
Taiwan and Russia?
No, to Taiwan and China. My
Okay,
bad.
cool.
So Petty John looks at like what China and Taiwan have been doing in the
Okay,
international sphere.
what lines say that he looks at like what China's doing?
Oh, so he's like okay. So
It talks about how Xi Jinping appears to be losing patience with the country's peaceful unification.
Okay, great. Let's talk about that line actually. Why is Xi Jinping losing his patience?
well, she kind of feels like he has like public pressure in order for him to reunify, and he feels like that's been like a burden that has been placed onto him from other presidents that he's like been failing to deliver.
Okay, sure, that's fine. If you were to paint yourself as an abstract painting, what colors and shapes would you use?
What colors as a painting?
Correct.
I would use purple and a sweater.
Okay, cool. If you were to fly to the moon, can you describe how that would feel setting your foot on the moon?
Putting my foot on the moon?
No, it would be indescribable.
It would be indescribable. Okay.
I would be speechless.
Yeah. Let's talk about the one I see.
你是教什么回答吗？
Anyways, okay. It talks about Xi Jinping is losing patience. Where does it say public pressure and what public pressure?
Well, the argument is that he has been ordering the increasing modernization of the PLA to undertake like brazen military operations, and in light of these advances, she is going to conclude that a successful invasion of Taiwan can happen if the U.S.
Okay,
is not.
great. So he's been increasing the PLA. And so why does that prove that he's going to invade Taiwan?
Well, it's like general trends, like you increase your military before you go to a war, but that's like
Okay, so general
that's like-
trends. Okay. Next. Why are human and AI relationships inevitable?
why is it inevitable?
Right.
Wait, do we say
It's not inevitable.
we don't make an argument that's inevitable?
Human AI relationships are inevitable. The tag of
Oh,
A1.
okay. So human AI relationships is like the process of is it like cognification is inevitable? Okay.
No, it's not it's that AI development is inevitable and that our interactions with them are inevitable, but that in order to ensure a peaceful relationship that,
How do you know AI will want a peaceful relationship?
Yeah, because they'll develop mutual trust. That's our FTC card, and that's our Declux.
So why wouldn't it build mutual trust absent the app?
Yeah, I was getting to that because we'll be able to anticipate their cognitive needs, which like to prevent cognitive attacks, which sweeps the plan and acts. Without that, we won't be able to anticipate their cognitive needs, and no trust will be developed.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sending out the 1 and 2. Give me a second.
No way safe to answer.
No.
Well, what if it's like a K thing? Oh.
Wait, where the fuck did I save it at? Sorry, give me a second. I'm having tech issues. Okay, sorry. Holy, my entire computer just froze. Okay, should be sent. Tell me when you'll have it. Did we win our game, by the way? Did y'all receive it? Okay, perfect. I've also in case.
Wait,
Yes.
it's 5 in the.
Yeah, 5 case.
Okay.
Wait, make sure all the judges got the file. Oh, does everyone have the file? Marcus? Okay, bye. TAS, are you good? Okay. First off, we have Mr. Deterring Test you 186 you filled in with refused to make us robots for reason of fairness education brings off flips chart I have simple tall. Eli's out fucking where the text responded covered by a card response surprise to skills and psychology computer we just going to be evident logic to learn computer passage to availability of many terms of data statistical statistical technology the computer system has passed through test they are getting close next up. AI development facilities never before seen concentration wealth, which only exacerbates the antagonism of the levels of production. Turns out their internal links ensures that only the ultimate result they try to leave us within the interim, but we get caught. Them red-handed. GG. Markup 19. Artificial intelligence growth AI is opening industry attracting the attention of most powerful people. There's a particular people whoever custody will begin the rule of the world. Teacher the AI much greater than nuclear wars. The super intelligent AI will take over the world. Couples of development company by Russia, rising technology made. New AI takes greater concentration of astronaut systems that have to be combined winners economic concentrated. Well, this is social political does energy being collected constantly. ABC richer against richer local basic capacity utilization couples unable to use productive capacity comes instead of local particular AI will only exacerbate only under democratic plan economy would be harvest the basic potential of AI and couples is firmly unsustainable. Locked in extinction scapegoat involves 116. Elite term war structure balance and inequality and operating per capita inequalities and persons including a cultural responsible half of the population. Cameron's gonna find much productive allies and low suppose and penny depression to composite of beneficial fears towards people in community. Kevin extreme and equality project passion situation ecological over the time found in your boundaries such modification nation to produce the magic thing happen urban area green soda food transportation population police can become such a new fashion culture emerges through motions and racial budget escape was different to integrate multi conversion makes to generate new opportunities to were unable to impose regulation companies become free conversion global that brings Greece, Spain, Europe, and Mexico. Movements uprising in Brazil, Chile, Chinese workers on the immigrant rights of Black Lives Matter, Bernie Sanders are survival may depend on it, and the all is endorsed intercommunalistic and revolutionary party for the U.S. history 11. State cannot be used for this issue by doubling non terms boycott and military mission budget dispatch only the process of revolution new country can emerge at scale. Workers will know then the passive following experience conference the only way which people can learn adapt revolution struggle with achieve these modern demands happen in massive study appreciate demoralization conciliation review for organizing comes not based on significant but is rooted in a social relation worker revolution was therefore naturally ebb and flow of the over matters of economics how worker will learn and rely on will to engage in more positive revolution involve the massive people who create their own organization to hard revolution can never create a revolution their intervention is probably my major impact on the outcome next up. Invocation that the impact is a necrophilia and obsession with body concept and addiction, but negative to reject that impact. This is a gateway issue from 64. There are many people who are indifferent to love the necrophilia. All there is people love to talk about it. Hitler and Stalin doesn't take them up, beloved by necrophilia. The ability to pregnant for surgery in order to make life control must be transferred. It's the only thing that is certain. A precursor things of that, at least of all things, wisdom is a meditation like that. Aim is to be restricted of that is alive. Awareness is restricted people as object of people and understands that there were things from machines. With them faster by the families with them. There is lack of participation for actually how far we have gone into value that is awareness of our pathological situations of person and people forward they could produce new reactions. The next up. Substantial limits must apply across the board in multiple environments, not just one setting. 13. A substantial limit must always across the board in multiple environments, but only in one setting. And security cooperation is limited to military purposes, basing self-defense at DoD, Scott 17, and U.S. Navy. Security cooperation, all department depends on interaction with foreign establishment to build relationships which provide U.S. security needs develop allies capable for self-defense and provide access to allies and nations. And AI excludes robots in around 19. AI will not take away from human artificial intelligence. Actually, some of the human intelligence. Dr. Bentley revealed that artificial intelligence is not the same as spectral artificial robots. Is basically an enabling technology. Biology. The app only talks about cyborgs. Files substantially changing cybersecurity, not substantial. Voting issue for one limits key for a fairness. Next, the link. The the level playing field. B, education keep stable negative ground instead of defaulting to generation. That research that could clash and C, predictably makes staff and return for further on me. So encouraging class are well-informed debates. Next up. Welcome to the new age. Work party has been suited to the social and political organization of appeal American acceptance. This establishes appeal positive feedback that proliferates or until shrubs that can place yellow products that have path to water that out the whiteness having a scene from the domestic and encompasses international. We need to ship out like 20. The Chinese gas representative we recommend the yellow organization of water recommended the vision impacts American partners has been suited to my engage. Ever more frequently fierce about instrument propaganda manifesting suiting up an entire nation culture has become field is serving up international problem. It's for us seeking Japanese Brazil international community departments and prestige property to acquire power partnerships in step from the hierarchical nation of the most powerful the country to find the roles of the game Eurocentric bill and ethnocentric culture locating Europe epicenter to interpret colonialism or for subjugation of the world says national confess Orientals and American prime minister face of decline such manifest fear that conspiracy theory made comfortable and pervasive. The Americans intention scholars as a new young peril. The sponsors have gradually turning the ideological civilization race fear proved to be overcome propagating paranoid kind of more based on racist ethnocentric religion often used for internal political matter traveling into the individual that taking account the context of 21st will not be America will belong to China is likely to emerge the most powerful player. It will not be sufficiently powerful to dominate China. It's aware of the overcharge and debates surrounding the weapons and technology are underpinned by intellectual amnesia around the bounds of Western ordering of the world. This perpetuation of the model minority myth extends to war planning forces, agents, internalized self-hatred. Matter 18. Intellectual music is technology, interplay, racial technology, weapon technology, determinism, generation, destructive violence. It's not many kind of origin of pervasive as a source of disorder, degeneration, armed conflict, managerial, conflict, interest, Soviet, impulse, technological stereotyping, and oppression, general reflexivity, oriental styles, and has been full of strategic, technical, military, orientalism, more about the prejudices of the attacking Asian for Asians and hyper or hypo-technological terms. He technical or racial immigration has improved the beyond Asian bodies, expendable technology, and expansive bi-directional internalizing results of patterns of replicated dehumanizing model, internalization of racial members through rhetorical examples such as the patient causes Asianness to be judged and then remove entirely something unfeeling, efficient, and inhuman born 19. Racial bonding tended to positive variation capital also to city was violent influence between device workers and visible which relations and linking mentioned to Japanese auto organization against robotic not level funding for the country because configuration use of very technology with which shape requires configuration Asian bodies has proved as to be expendable to 100% type in business more than racial hatred appealing efficient human is signals the automation possibility error of wide supremacy racial violence in case of the machine for the war propaganda as well as labor technology and white supremacy. I'll mark the card there. And next yellow parallel is the American policymaking drives pathological understandings of Asianness and is a very healthy US empire. This produces an apocalyptic form of secularization where content itself becomes the legitimation of social humanity. US government maintained driven by imaginary like for the regions and imperial anti-Asian laws a function to imagine future predicting on district part of the yellow part of that period we feel like so that this end until I destruction over person justification for exclusion to allow cultural protection network apocalypse and states reflect understanding how the rest of the network planning incorporate ideas about disease pathogens and power into the body politics area for working counter conditions but propagate hegemonic values now hope that it will be established in a different form that will persevere the survey denying academic the desire that carries to at times and thus negative for the affirmation of transnational Asian practices, especially in the time of hiding yellow peril because of COVID. Tearing down and actively rejecting US imperialism is key to stop anti-Asian grammars. Blue 20. Asian radical the Taiwanese and Hong Kong build a general solid base and continue US and China imperialism transnationally not only rejects the assimilation parties and the narrow focus of liberal politics, but also seek to cause national encounters. Building lines between Hong Kong beyond the vision police that requires maneuver questioning political content using bombs to promote displacing Asian global application includes protests using umbrellas to protect some gas LGBT Taiwanese organization and beyond and calling out racism amongst the part of racism case. First note due to these trap the level 20. Rise of Chinese army that were beginning to burn is a stir or even like China using how many desire for recognition dependent almost after military intervention allows you project to power globally extended technology but to show the side of an impending war. World is to interplay economic promotion, inclusion, gender value, exclusion, necessary steps of avoid conflict to working for cooperation, confrontation, outside of present and international billions. This is China cannot see China, American predominance is very unlikely to provoke war. I'm good for sales.
Okay. You good?
Wait, where?
Wait, no, he finished. He finished. All right. Okay. Warren, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Let's first start on topicality. Why is unfairness bad?
Why is unfairness bad?
Yeah.
Because then we won't be able to fairly debate you. If unfairness is good, then you just vote negative here.
So having a fair debate is good. Okay. So why is education good?
Why is education good?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like you're trying to get us into bind so that you could get somewhere on a framework debate on a particular critique. We're negative here. We reserve multiple conditional roles. we
Okay,
reserve multiple
but the
perspectives.
topicality is
Neither
not
can say
conditional.
anything.
T is not conditional. So like I don't know what you're saying.
Also, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is
Status of the off.
conditional. We have 3 condo.
All right, 3 condo. Let's see. So now let's talk about this like the final off. So how do we know that paranoia against Asian people have been sutured in the political?
Oh, we have made a uniqueness claim that tells you that Asian or anti-Asian hate is rising now. The 1AC is just a form of anti-Asian hate within debate.
That's
The
not-
block
that's not-
will that's answering your question. The block will pull specific quotes from the 1AC, which is pretty which is pretty fucking racist, and tell you why the 1AC is just horrible scholarship, horrible literature, horrible historical evidence, and horrible
You're not answering my
representations of Asian countries. Go ahead.
Warren, you're not answering my question. I'm asking, how do we know this paranoia against Asian people exists?
Because
you just said
stuff
we're
in
rising.
1AC. Boom. Like
Because we've provided examples for why Asian or anti-Asian hate is rising now. We've provided the example of Vincent Chen, where sort of Asians were sort of seen as robotic and not quite livid,
Where
much
does
like
it-
how the
where does it
1AC.
Okay.
Sorry?
Where does it come from? Where does this hate come from?
I mean, COVID, like people think that
Does
it's
it
the
come
fucking
from
Chinese
COVID?
virus. Like
So-
I don't understand your question. Like, is your argument like anti-Asian hate does not exist? Because that's a stupid argument.
I'm just asking you. Okay, so it only comes from COVID.
not
I mean,
only
no.
from COVID. It's been starting from like the immigrants.
Yeah, our evidence provides examples such as Vincent Chen, the beating of Vincent Chen, anti-Asian policies, exclusion
Okay,
acts.
It's only been
So-
restructured and exacerbated by COVID.
Okay, so now I guess here's my next question. So I know you're gonna like pull lines from our evidence and say that's the link. If we didn't highlight it, if it's not in our tags, why do we defend it?
2 arguments. First, you have decided to cut the scholarship. You represent your authors and therefore reading them within debate. We should hold you accountable for what you say, or not even what you say, but what your authors say, because you sort of read scholarship that are derived from your authors. Number 2, it's kind of hard to, you're not going to get out of the fucking link. The 1AC is structured to be fucking racist. We literally recut half the 1AC that we will fucking read in the blog, and you're going to lose.
Sure. Okay, let's go to the turning test procedural. What is the test that you think you gave us?
Your answers to the Genesis questions weren't satisfactory. You're a robot. Your robots have infinite archival space. It's unfair to debate you. Therefore, vote negative.
Okay, so it's unfair. Okay, we're gonna run prep. 8 starts now. Stop prep 7:50. I'm muting. All right, go.
All right, the document sent. Order is 1 new page, case, in the order of advantage 1, advantage 2, and then T, cap, the yellow peril stuff, the forum stuff, and then the lovely turning test. All right. Is everyone good?
Sorry,
Sorry.
I don't have the document.
And actually, yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah. I'll drop it. Oh wait, there's no file share.
No, I have the document now. I just need to download it.
Oh, okay. But Westwood, both of y'all good? Okay. All right, Marcus, you good?
Yeah, I'm good now.
All right.
Their use of the F word is an independent reason to vote negative and normalizes sexual violence and makes a culture of domination and rule source. 09 is the goal of the sex education to provide accurate information where young people believe they can become sexually active or tremendous service, and we set a young woman to be a instead of young woman to think a woman's body is possible susceptible to changing our language. Certainly, a prophecy started in a world where harping and high performance of women victims of rape is not possible, and it's at least in our language self normalizes sexual violence. We forget about the words that are how to pay patients on our minds out. The word is how not to be a non-case. For advantage, what the popular words here is question of shots to adapt and have skills out of sweet system, strength is alliance, cognitive security, cognification, outweighs AI loves sauce from data soldier information arms. Alternatives the S result rogue AI causes infinite torture of Minecraft. We solve this by establishing reduced instruction among powers and the problem is status quo without cognitive attack or response and detection system which we solve and everything here was dropped. Feel free to rest the ballot on the app. At this point, we are winning. A key framing issue of S impacts outweigh extinction and outweigh under any moral framework as they cause eternal suffering and make any possible life in the future have negative value, meaning on paper Orientalism might be true, but it applies to this debate. Apply this debate because debate is game and they have to win that our reps are false because before they can apply their theory, if they drop our argument, then it doesn't matter if their thesis or of Orientalism is real. If they concede it, that China is launching cognitive attacks and the S impacts and on advance to the plan develops conventional cognitive capabilities which bulwarks attacks from Russia and China that collapses the alliance, deterrents credibility that always backsliding across the extinction from Taiwan war. And well, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, does it assume cognitive attacks, and 1 and 2, 3, that any risk of the S impact outweighs and the cards and capital the exponential growth of AI. That's why Alexander evidence and on to T. Firstly, we meet the app is biotech because it augments human tests, essentially limits. It's not a term the resolution, so it doesn't matter. And we meet the app includes the DoD counter interpretation security cooperation, not only the DoD action includes security assistant interpretation in the context of the DoD and doesn't assume how the agency's functions are going to 5. Security cooperation is one in terms of addition security assistant includes that exercise training, education, context, and assistant info. And DoD is not only entity and predictability. DoD definitions arbitrary article 5 of the spirit of security cooperation goes to the entire U.S. not just the DoD. And the app creates an AI system that includes the data set, machine learning, and neutral networks. Chelsea and L21. The creation of a single large database to reveal on European self-learning programs and creates a new work. And also, our interprets of equal literature of the graph. Use the word and functional AI. The whole point of AI is good data. And after unlimited AI, the DoD lays for apps like arm sales training, information, and background. Apps include DoD and reasonability. Good is good enough. On to cap. Firstly, frame it where the applicant only gets links to the plan A. Fairness and resolution is the only predictable locus of offense. Determination allows the negative to shift the grounds for offense or ultimately moves our offense makes debate impossible. Secondly, cluster inter makes debate two shifts passing and like there's PF for that only debating over the controversy of the all and the plan allows for adaptive research and argumentative refinement. Secondly, perm through the app and then the alternately perm provides has gold dumps to the app to drop the bucket. Fourthly, capitalism is sustainable. A China and India lock is stable since Matthew 17. Now circular demographic and economic and tech forces of mass innovation and geopolitical entanglement limits of real growth. Resolution is zero growth, rather changing the impulse sustainable China and India leadership willing to scale and solely decouple from constraints and real dematerialization. China and India million pollution and geopolitical industrialization, you see every alternative global scale and increases creates increasing masses, returns to mass production ability, cause house extraction and open air, food product planetary transition and rapid global chain reaction by 2030 and trucking and waste and skin, waste circular right now substitution and supply projects and all doing green energy resource eradication and financial system only peaceful industrialization without works and water resource energy coupled wildly integrating an obelisk system and also AI solves sustainability through space called Lock 21. Extendability to humans outer space includes the possibility of open resource frontier processing capitalism material enable for human presence on other planets and economic possibility and companies erratic manipulation facility and physical infrastructure and also cap is good cash goes also gap 19. We live most people be warm alley achievement from 18 to the onward we're wealth and long across the finite quality and devastation and the entire economy openness to like no longer necessary but that's the territory of also extinction always it's irreversible death has agencies and cognification solves all the reason why capitalism is bad and this is sustainable through cognification and building and humans also all failed transition words are just at the ultimate 19. Social is not going to be a negative 19 hours. It's going to open up the job market, probably scramble even socialism certainly abandoned. We have also feel support. The military ever to keep population on the president is so many heavy push with some enriching people are helping. The economy even social leader choose the former as they move the whole China and the US and leaders to demand and constantly standard of triple saying empower the best over the eyes, introduce new trade off and tag and improvement. And condos badges rejected one USCQ they move our best off in the 2 seconds they back to Scotch luckily ain't chasing condo lovers love to introduce the threshold to 0 which encourages and chasing all over clash and counter interface. This all means they get cake only cake position we read theoretical Joseph
more first they got to play a soft neck flex because they can still introduce multiple advocacy, but it guarantees that those advocacies are contradictory and onto the yellow peril. Crossable to AC 1, 3, and 6 from cap, and at least the post cap is going to be efficiently gained to displace possible motive of failure to conquer by constant AI driven employment crisis and preemptive reaction rate social movement that after ensures the transition of post capital is safe and protects workers by 20. Computer capacity and storage and speed of data availability and possible human labor becomes absolutely and different capitalism and depending on most media. Cognitive AI is perform tasks most processed for humans without resting on humans who need to demand wages that always operate at the same devotion and humans will need to work and will be able to fight the abundance abilities to also sustain members and have a future will turn into distribution of laminated personal revolution on star plan, personally violent implications of more advanced release of Australia and development of new techniques process small transformation capitalism that can lead to a new design and also despite our theories origin Western origins, I think it still be useful in the context of Asia. This especially true when combined with the focus of policy consequences of Article 7. Disagree papers is whether our theories are relevant in Asia given its origin in Western ritual. Just of course, cut the card there, and also the app doesn't do anything to increase Orientalism. Codification solves this because AIs do not see race, and we will not base actions do actions based off race. And China's revisionist and expansionist power panel. China's revisionist power infrastructure through answering claims in maritime claims over land created order to international institutions tiger out the revisionist speech justified Chinese MFA highlighted countries that authoritarianism and debates in China are centered around revision until China's strength is matched. The U.S. power is not foreseeing a revision will employ force and seven China's cognitively attacked Taiwan, the status quo. Nine states. Taiwan president says China cognitive warfare, China comply false narratives for media and military rationale. And I'll finish Paris 14 here. Paris 14. These have because they're all where they don't see us standing and the answer is statistical studies and absolutely there was more rapidly the headline. Well, every day only statistics study would end. Overwhelming data. Also, all these materials solve our impacts or cases acceptable by neither can solve the aberrant engaged in the system they critique and how to form cross apply to AC 1 and 3 here. But our bodies counts are good. They emphasize responsibility. Turns 3. We don't do body counts. Body count requires that killing maybe is demanded. But they are then able to take responsibility. The measure each body should be counted. Each visual lives the matter of the body count of permanent records. So let us make the body back in must kill. Let us go. Maybe another without our nation becoming a robotic killing machine. Let us bring us back to body count to bring over our own responsibility or argument. And also, extinction is a gateway issue for 17. Existing people do physical pain, extinction of physical and non-physical harms to people suffer premature deaths and be caused by die prematurely and react to rejected principle as it fails to show the respect of person how to rational age and recognize that others as being involved preserves life and appreciate the value of life with other permission shows respect and cross by all fails from yellow pair and all the training has firstly no link there or doesn't describe what the test is. It's just a general FYI about it. Secondly, after proves AI human level intelligence doesn't exist right now, and thirdly, no establishment of ring other round club and cross supply framework. Not just about a debate should win this debate. And okay,
Western and Goldberg on the yellow pair.
Back onto the Western and Goldberg stuff. Overwhelming data goes up. Western and Goldberg 11. The foreign challenges yesterday warranted in Libya, NATO success and political civilians and removal of rebel leaders has become a role of international community is seemingly adapted to use military forces to stop the hostages and foster an era declining or worse less frequently and fewer civilian casualties and intervening powers undertakes to make views of evaluation of the strategies of criticism of the 1995 so gathered conversation and the Trump style they didn't country to claim Somalia, and Bosnia and all cases international community were unwilling. Cut that card at unwilling. That was the only card I cut. Good for cross.
Okay. You're good, right?
Wait, give me 1 second. Let me get something. All right, yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Other than the upward stuff in condo, what are reasons to reject the team?
Just condo.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about cognitive warfare. What is cognitive warfare?
So a cognitive warfare is attacks launched by like an adversary. Let's say if you're in the US, attacks launched by Russia that infiltrate or disrupt our ability to obtain or retain information and our ability to falsify information.
So like information campaigns?
Information war falls under cognitive war, but it's not restrained to cognitive war. Cognitive attacks can also be like one, disinformation, other ones like collapse our epistemic commons are the inability to communicate.
Okay, that's understandable. The Panda piece of evidence, China's revisionist. Why, if China's revisionist, why haven't they done anything when Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan?
I mean, they did launch like missiles.
But why was an invasion? Why was there no invasion?
What you're going for is like
that's not a coherent argument. Like you just pick up one snapshot about like when one senator came to Taiwan for like 3 days.
Wait, also, this card is talking about the Belt and Road Initiative, where they're talking about building bridges. How does that prove that China is a revisionist power?
Because it shows that their goal of expansion and expansion to the Taiwan.
Expansion by building bridges?
I mean, that's expanding.
Okay,
What?
right.
Okay, sure. The extinction stuff, or
Wait, where?
actually, let me see. Why does the critique need to materially solve the 1AC?
Why does the what?
Why does the critique need to materially solve the 1AC?
Well, it's like an either or statement. If you don't, then cases it this side.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. The F-word stuff. Where in the warrants of the piece of evidence?
Sorry. Wait, the what stuff?
The F-word stuff at the top, where in the warrants in the piece of evidence talks about the specificities of the F-word being bad.
What's the question?
Why is saying the F-word bad?
Well, it's bad because it normalizes like sexual violence and cultural domination. The warrant, like you want the warrant, it says
Like, yeah. Oh, it says the F word has multiple meanings and that its two most common uses to describe intercourse and to express rage. And then it like denotatively analyzes that and like shows you why that connects to. Do you want me to like spend the 30 seconds reading the rest?
That's understandable. We'll take the rest of the time for prep.
Right. Okay.
That was yes. The twinsies getting sent.
I couldn't find my Zoom tab for a minute there, but all good. Cards should be set. Order will be Gapke and
What did you say? Like, I didn't catch the last part.
yeah, Cap K and Case.
Got it.
Yeah. And Chris and Austin, y'all are good. And Type A American, y'all are good. Cool. Thank you, Marcus. You evaluate every link argument as an independent turns case argument that capitalism is the root cause of the acts impacts a capitalist system marked by overaccumulation and endless extraction of finite resources on the brink of terminal collapse. One is equal to collapse. Capitalism profit drive makes climate change actively beneficial. Two is perpetual war. Two independent reasons. One, militarized accumulation. Capital instruction, military and natural conflicts protect economic hegemony. That results in endless warfare and makes miscalculation inevitable. Two is deflection, globalization. These two nations pursuing accumulation over resolving internal conflicts. First, diversion war in response to domestic social polarization that goes nuclear. That's Robinson Turns case. Capitalism causes the militarized blocks to clash due to perpetual goals. Our interpretation is the way the planet is pedagogical commitments intrinsic to the resolution of our ideologically distinct alternative permutation. Don't get a separate ideology intrinsic to the planet. Prefer interpretation. Ideological testing. Putting our link and impact arguments means that we've proven a clear opportunity cost that only the alternative can solve for. In fairness, the case in NATO with a clear link and impact arguments that is to the planet inability to test core commitments to the planet. I see this open for valid criticism. Our monocracy clear division of ground that allows the negative test of one AC from multiple angles and all to the link where right here. The AI link does mark up 19. The affirmative development of AI only seeks to benefit the corporations, which allows market control of artificial intelligence. There's a unique quotient. AI exacerbates structural inequality, which allows new era to winner economics that supercharges sustainable. Two links. One, AI is growing now, replacing the Commonwealth as a more efficient means of extraction of labor. Powerful people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are attractive because AI is an inroad to complete domination of the world via easiest way to buy his profit. It kills the farm because the development forecloses the working class in favor of automation, which fractures solidarity so far as it locks people into socioeconomic status and funnels them to the low-skill jobs that must maintain the system. Second, its growth of the neoliberal system must always fall suit in job losses. The AI market, the affirmative creates leads to tycoons like Google and Facebook would concentrate wealth to the top and solidify systemic contradiction, social disorder, political collapse, and gay inequality. All results in the AI world where the capitalism saddled with overproduction as the world worker cannot buy the goods, and the acceleration is that the threat of AI is unpredictable. There's no oversight to ensure safety, microdisability, and the artificial warfare on a global scale is unprecedented, which means that it's obviously inevitable to go down a bad road, and only the all-can-solve democratically planned economies where we put people, not profit first, allows an innovative uses of AI that forgo market system for the perfecting society. And the firms now prove the firms here across by all link arguments that they're invited to the app. Why the permutation cannot resolve and why the alternative alone is better. Even if we win our most basic link argument, this is incoherent militarized foreign policy like a cooperating with NATO is clearly incompatible with social organizing against it. And the economization data said the permutation kills neoliberalism is a compromise logic that clings to the fantasy of continuous growth. Hollowing out the neoliberal governmentality is a prerequisite for Big Idol 20. Solutions for instance to observe the systems of the working capitalism and compatible with the later talents. There's all for the parties to bring conviction to believe in capitalism and turn the clean. She ignored the nature of the way that they're feeling and efforts like similar resilient the compromise position and operating the environment and to the company the words of the analysis continue the company not by continuous growth of the solution to not check the wording the value was environmental impact of development and mark the card of Saber Tech and mark the card at Saber Tech and bureaucratic gives the reform and spirit of government revolution organized the focus the ability to generate class consciousness and destroys mass mobilization work. The alternative alone is key history proves arbitrary 19. This city has great religion, supports of parts of the general constitution of the revolution, working on the kitchen, this help protect the entails the competition, electoral mobilization, politics, the reformers will have no answers to the power of the state, use the power of undermined 4 parts of the upper person about apparatus will work ruling close enough for the peace will let you put the siege bureaucracy to summon the police, like the generals, the family army, and recognize the impossible reform the system out of existence. Fear something that must appropriate to the revolution, the opposite of reformers cannot control any mass mobilization, not to go back, not to back up, but go beyond them and mark the card beyond them and alt stuff. The alternative is a form of base building gold power fortified through organized international organized revolution. The party solves one capitalism is linked to the global chain of co-production. The USFG is key actor within the chain, which means that if they were that the plan can solve the USFG alone, they all solve too. We also remember the sole reason why war and warming happens in the first place. Private sector actors are acting in their own evolution, meaning a socialist party in the USFG removes the incentive to establish the structure to ensure the demise of profit motive directive. And 3, the globalist movement screws up the incentive for capitalism to expand, which solves and voting in a recognition of the revolutionary political process. The key for stepping in the global class consciousness that would recognize the detrimental failures of capitalism. That's London and the stress points of capitalism is hurtling towards the demise. So try to die for the alternative. Any risk of road solving deficit or transition towards the massively outweighed by the risk of solving global ecological disaster and war and individual power ourselves. Guess the people the material infrastructure all needs to survive even a capitalist to crack down. And 3, peaceful transition the possibility, but try to die post recovery if there's war. Not 19. Some kind of search the candidate of global peace movement the opportunity to the complement systems so they human knowledge to provide society can help the capitalism actually counteraction organizing knowledge order to the global class of World War III happens to the restart of the fossil report and their bottom model protection is needed. And the AI stuff, AI fails, it can't create new resources, it needs optimization and really bump up biophysical limits too. It doesn't rebound effects. The cheaper resource will still be used in greater quantities, increasing overall use. And 3, the particular form of optimization would determine itself. $21. There are self-transaction autonomous technology and natural resources. Optimizing performance, the efficiency of anything that the other system resilience would lead to irreversible ecosystem agricultural launch of unintended decline, common regulation, cleansing, resilience, automation, accelerate these trends. The local structure not easily captured the simplification undermine the force capacity and the cap good stuff. First, markets don't prevent war and fears with the China affair, the US-India relations 1971. Spanish American War, Boer War, all prove that this is not true. Second, global condition, the disintegrating capitalism make the global war inevitable. Up in 19, global condition, the very logic, they were all break the military, that are much transition, the global population between the institution and inequalities transition from an older to new from the capitalist system. No one entering the 40-year disintegration, they feel the nationalist and the recourse of attention. Hostility, where the escalating will be research the population, which is for the outputs, the global interest, you have the global conditions make a combination more likely. There's a case on a case. Extend the double 20 card. This one called conceded throughout the 2AC chart, the line from the 2AC to the 1AR. There's no Thucydides strats, couple of warrants. 1, no appetite for military offensive power protection. 2, tech has no sign of an invited war. And 3, they're too economically intertwined to create war. And their panic doesn't make any sense. It talks about how China's provision is because it's building relations with other countries through the Belt and Road Initiative by literally building bridges. It doesn't make any sense. The cognitive warfare argument also doesn't make any sense. The card is literally talking about posting on social media that doesn't prove that China is going to attack Taiwan. And no, China's cyber threat, the one, no capabilities. They're organizedly screwed when it comes to bureaucratic silos and info overload. It can't conduct a big attack. That's Lindsay. And no motive. Both sides will moderate the political economic global and destructive military retaliation. That's Lindsay. And China has no threat. Lindsay 15. Just put it yes, but there's little skill that China operation. They're trying to put on level to the experts in the tactical requires the careful testing, the planning, the experts, the operators, struggle, the hierarchy, no experience, never campaigns when it comes to good military threats, and they're trying to close system prevents so necessary and prevents actually 15. There's no they're not worrying about your having the interests of the political not being able to military deal with the infrastructure. The lethal will be challenging the self-limiting homegrown giants like Geo Flores, the execution the American company, but it's serious to building robust capabilities, China approach to the weapon Beijing will reaching its cyber potential and no U.S. China so far, no escalation. The U.S. is dominant, and China will cheat. Thomas 16. The U.S. has more experience in managing number of operations and the people to real liberation and face a serious challenges that are comfortable having like a supplement to the very rare no state has declared cyber the attrition and the very difficult U.S. force over the rest of the means of respond to the difficulty arising. Considering that what we're supposed to global attack and hacking and unlike the NES that it could just about the country response to the economy versus how fallen well below the military force the U.S. instead reliant diplomatic law enforcement tools and anti-assessment and sanctions going into 2015. China has no intention to adhere to the China will cooperation and safety together, so which the evidence that China is not complying and self-severity self-moderate makes miscalculation incredibly unlikely in Lindsay 15. For several in the internet, the border putting attacks must suppress the line for the country interaction. The internet is most of the time to think one expect the risk of unwanted escalation to other dominant both sides of the objective attack with the intention to separate Russia by the risk of retaliation as much as the need to preserve the connection to predict the methods to below to the future thing, but retaliation with the military threats are utterly non-credible.
Cool. I'm good for us. All right. You good? Okay. Wait, James, you're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is reform parasitic?
Yeah, reform is parasitic because it gives the bureaucrats empower more power to crush movements, or it saps movement energy away from the movement, which makes the movement inevitably fail.
Why does the movement fail if the bureaucrats are in power?
Because they won't let you, like the exact quote is like, they won't let you sack the generals, disband the army, etc. Like this won't happen through reform alone. We need the revolution.
Oh, okay. So the bureaucrats will just want to hang on to the power.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. What does conflict mean?
What do you mean conflict?
Like, can you define conflict for me?
I mean, I can give you the Google definition, but I don't think that's very productive.
I mean, no. Just like, what do you think conflict means? That's just my question. It's pretty simple.
Disagreeing opinions.
Disagreements?
Disagreeing opinions, yeah, sure.
Wait, sorry, what?
Disagreements.
Okay. The Hampy 19 card, okay, that peaceful transition is possible, but then you talk about it could be war. How do you resolve the two?
What? No, if there's a progressive global class, which we've established through the London Allen and Press evidence within the alternative.
Yeah, no. It says a peaceful transition is possible for recovery post-conflict if there's war. Like, how do you have a peaceful transition if there's war?
If there is war, the peaceful transition is possible.
Yeah, but
not only that, but it's
how does
you're massively mischaracterizing what the card says. It's talking about a progressive global class being able to establish peace.
Okay, but then what about the if there's war part in the tag, which is your argument?
It's the triad. First of all, peaceful transition. No. The tag argument is literally peaceful transition is possible. But not only that, if you don't buy that there's peaceful transition, it's triad for the alternative.
But then you're missing the part where there's.
What am I missing? I don't get it.
Okay, sure. No. Could you explain? Yeah. You were saying?
I wasn't saying.
No, what? You were saying.
What are you asking? What is your question?
Could you explain how it resolves the peaceful transition if there's
Yes,
war?
the progressive global class consciousness that we've established through the alternative evidence shows how a peaceful transition is possible. If there's a global class consciousness, then yes, that is possible.
But how does that resolve the? All right.
Resolve what?
Okay, sure. The two impacts on cap that I caught was wars and warming. Were there anything else other than the case turns? Were there any? I mean, I feel like it's pretty.
No,
Were there any
I
impacts?
said no. I don't
Okay.
know if my mic cut out. That's my bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's chill. All right, ready for the win and I.
Well,
The card should be sent out. Just to, the order is cap. Actually, we'll take a second prep to ask the other question. The Paris evidence, where's the second portion of it?
In the 2AC.
Okay. Okay, cool. That was 11 seconds, yes. Do we use any prep here? No. Okay, so 7:49. Okay, my bad. The order is cap, the death K, the independent voter, and then the Asian American stuff. Which is, can you pass me my club?
Can you repeat the order?
Yeah, no problem. It's cap, which is the condo debate, the death K, the independent voter stuff, then Asian American.
Type American's good.
Yes, right. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm ready.
Also, the content debate on the problem could counter we go we did no 20 counterparts and no contradictory cross application first office first next flexibility strategic flexibility check back the class box lack of genetic stable solvent the block is not contradictory in nature second innovation without a problem kits will never break the mystery logic to make an applied is about to prove that the abs there was also defense down defense first was skewed and abilities this as a speed second traitor strike they come forth also we can apply by strike turning the not benefit if it pressure solve these four reject argument punishment must 55 5 neck tricks force perms 6 displays arbitrary has no community tests up to 7 every decide how to benefit to everything above for example if the one is see we feel teacher of it the deal by ballot and NATO cohesion decide to could drop both both counterparts especially next thing one dispel onto the death K. We will consider permutation no remainder office on the slow onto the independent voter. First apologies also I'm sorry for saying that word I did not mean what it actually meant. And second intentions matter was not in the context of a woman at all, but instead of the one I see, which is a racist. 3 is a police. This police language is based within racial context and is anti-black. 4 not an independent voter. I must stop my speech the next time you judge me. 5 not a reason to reject the team. Reasonably valid. 6 infinitely regressive and arbitrary. Any word could be used to justify any rhetorical reasons to reject any other team. Not a good amount of debate to facilitate if you vote out onto the Asian American case. This is a new age yellow president nationalization of New Zealand popular chat that was perpetuate Asian modernization, which feels about 30 machine that is American acceptabilism, the establishment of the Oriental through Trump's being transparent, established Asian sensibility, supported to whiteness, you permanent debate through Asian pathology, chaos case debate, has created cognitive distance between debaters in the argument that they read anti-Asian radicalism baked into debate, such as the implicit instinct from debaters to promote arguments in US China or Japan, but with these sensibilities and untold truths have caused unique thoughts on Asian, for example, the China bashing and anti-Asian rhetoric is in grade U. Also need to overcome for cognitive bias for holding Asian debaters to higher standards for differences in vernacular patterns that discern Asian debaters as unfair. This primarily puts Asian debaters in a position where they are constantly excluded from this activity. Debate so as a no consequence activity where you won't matter what become reality. The that means that you should prioritize, eliminate racist inertia and inherent bias against Asians. Turns cases, especially because of COVID, the rhetoric of disease push onto Asians fuels American militarism resistance against Asians and borders good resistance against disease never been as finding a cure rather than as war, such as a war against cancer. The same frame of scripting diseases is scripting Asian bodies as some deviant and defective to generate the impotence to act in the most invasive militaristic way. The picture of Asians and other and continually putting us into a state of accession promotes a balanced form of ethno-nationalism, which inevitably leads to secularization. This promotion of nationalism makes the impact of the act inevitable and unsolvable. Voting negatives the recognition of the cognitive dissonance and biases not plague this space. Not only make the one state inevitable, but continues to exclude Asians from this activity. That's man as well, like the framework debate. Default to be body completely political measures and negative can ask consequences and ideological underpinnings, which means that they get to give the plan, but the consequences of their reps and explosion must also be evaluated first in education culture. What we should do carry presupposition about political subjectivity. Those are wrong. Our policies will be due secondary interest ground in case of the course of the topic, especially in a year with disadvantage so sparse last feature and prep to frame the best factors to use reciprocity, fiating attitudinal durable enforcement of cyborgs despite lack of political will and ongoing effects of Republican core packing is utopian. It doesn't reflect pragmatic reality, which means that the negative gets equal right to test desirability and not feasibility. The alternative, we solve 100% the key. Your balance shouldn't be oriented around single policies, but political horizons. We should discuss how Asian and Asian Americans are forging transnational coalitions are actively demanding better conditions such as police, abolition mutual aid, and creating infrastructure to prevent food insecurity through communities. These communities like the one in Versailles have environmentalism at its core. Voting that creates social political affinities that require attending to the unique precarity of Asian communities in the new Asian Yellow Peril. We will extend the anti-policy stuff here. TS mishandles our critique of anti-Asian policy to be that exceeds the question of the legacy of anti-Asian bias scripted through years of China deterrence, East Asian proliferation, road terror, and North Korea arms racing. This creates a double burden for Asian degrees that do not just justify their existence within the space, but also see their crude operationalization to demonstrate their innocence. Want to see the rhetorical solutions of describing China as actually fucking racist. Literally every war is a racist stereotype or a military official prescribing she's psychological motivations were read. Want to see Penny John 22. Senior years of military opposition administration was ordered to forcibly unite with Taiwan. Admiral John, the Queen of the head of the U.S. Pacific Command, the promise much closer to us than we think. She should be appears to be able to be China's here, be very curious to would eventually bring enough pain psychological for that Taiwan. No capitulate Chinese military forces successful seasons of control feature while assuming the United States will not intervene. That Turns case because attempts to understand active policies, psychological motivations when military leaders claim seize solution for China wanting to inflict enough psychological stress so that Taiwan will capitulate. Those are all obviously grounded in racist shirts that lead to racist shit, but also Turns case because we act upon China's perceived intentions instead of their actual intentions. I'll do the amount here to say extinction always, but one, if we were married, that is a hypothetical extinction scenarios are important in relation to subject formation. Second K, and the K outweighs the Turns case. You're trying China backing starting from the warnings and shows how you inevitably lead into a self-fulfilling prophecy. They say the AI does not see race, but we are an A prior. We win any of our opposite is that the AI is coded by races. So AI ultimately does see race. So revisionism debate, parasitic shit, kind of we were answering the Tunisian Goldstein is power target, only talks about NATO, not mention China, doesn't matter. Yeah.
Paris doesn't mention NATO.
Yeah, Paris doesn't mention NATO.
We'll run prep 7:50 starts now. Stop prep. What? How many?
4:30.
4:30 left. I'll type that in the chat. All right. Yeah, I'll unmute.
Okay, there's one card, so I'm just gonna send it in the body. Yeah, there's just one card. Okay, card is sent.
Sorry, is it Bailey evidence?
Yeah, it's just that
Okay, cool.
card.
Then what's gonna go after order?
Okay, order is advantage 1, advantage 2, cap K, the yellow pearl. Shoot. Alright, one second. 可以拿了吗？你想吗？我俩过手。Alright, let's see the panel. Chris, Austin, Marcus. Okay, just checking. Okay, does anyone need the order one more time? Okay. Give me 1 second for my flow here. Okay. DFS, they don't implement a CWEA system that acts as a translator between humans and AI and allows us to detect AI's cognitive needs. This is key to develop mutual trust and mutual trust allows our cognition to develop which merges the AI together with humans. The 2NC on the K does not answer the thesis of the 1AC, which means that any act clarification to the tutorial and mean to and improves that the links are not contextual. Codification solves a linear threats like disease and also prevents asterisk. Asterisk must come first. First is irreversibility. Once we enslave this, it's in Minecraft, it's infinitely on 2 scope. Even if small populations face imminent torture, it just makes life worth not worth the infinite negative utility outweighs non-consequences. More theories are indefensible because they develop ontology and discriminate between people. They have no reason why either K outweighs asterisk, which is the F automatically outweighs the second image. Because the impact events can go to the K. First at the top is condos of Onishi Vector, clashing pairs, protector, remember deterrence, other becomes notice. First is straight that this is research and obvious and critical thinking about argument or depth over breadth and less portable skills. They say necklace, be prepared to go for what you read instead of just going for technical, instead of just banking on technical concessions. Second is time skewing chasing condo results in 10 off elbows to incentivize each different class which stores triggers the process of producing a meaningful argument. They say innovation. There's obviously no reason why force you to go for your argument is bad for innovation. You can just read them all, just be prepared to go for an incentive. But we're just moving in the direction that intrinsic turns, but fairness also turns education because it determines why we play the game. They say skews inevitable, even if structural skews inevitable. The judge can solve the skew that happened in this turn. They say reject argument. No, it's the turn. That's about. They say force perms. You don't have to perm all the time on just the non-competitive parts. Which is how the Suici described this with Witcher Drop. They say contradictions are inevitable. One, it's a contrived scenario, but two, it can't. But two, it's worse for Condo because it can't stick offense. This will solve all the armors. They can read as many options as they want, but they need to be prepared to go for it. First, it's to make center interpretation with the consequences of the efforts of the offer. The alternative first is framework and iteration outweigh epistemology. Framework is intrinsically to the game because they'll demonstrate by going for trust argument and asking the judges to flow which proves that they're invested with framing game fairness preserves education. Other flows proves their argument, which turns else causes a real world controversy and real readers to the reason of their strategy. Their framework is unfair. First is ground. Their framework excludes questioning models of cooperation and swings the sense of the forces us to vet every single word in the 1AC. It turns their education into an argument because our framework is the only way to actually resist cooperation internationally. Two is arbitrary. Their framework is arbitrary and inevitably gets reclarified as an act how to school to exclude offers, which turns their arguments on ethics because fairness as an ethical maximizer because it ensures that everyone's treated equally. But at best, debate does not shape subjectivities. All causes family, friends, here, etc. Multiple rounds, different advocates on what debate is, and three people read arguments they don't believe in smart. Home lectures go to the impact to be on the cap K. First is that there's no winnable 200 on this because they just conceded the space call scenario coming out of the 200, which is at any risk that we're right about the direction of sustainability debate. Obviously, means that we outweigh. First is that the AI and private industry is the only mechanism to achieve colonization because of effect. Energy gains generate fast and cheap mechanism degrowth is where it's contradictory academic activity would eliminate the progress of energy development, making getting off the rock so that way. Space quality is increasing as cave access helps resource stores, asteroids, and all the natural disasters outlined on kids which creates solutions. This was dropped the top level permission. The only guarantee is scenarios that we stand on they concede to the unsustainability of a single planetary extinction model. Our evidence also says that we can find new resources on other planets, which indicts their evidence on sustainability, which is a space called self-sustainability. They say cap causes the word it's wrong. First, as I'll do the ultimate here, first it transitions words. Yeah, causes transitions words. The question is sequence. Even if cap causes the one in long-term force of revolution, that means that we are all dead first. Two is capitalism solves word economic interest the need for peace and economic alliances create risk averse bandwagon means that smaller countries would orient around the new global leader prior to the use of force that overtake them even with non-capitalist countries. It doesn't matter. That's the gap. Perm do both. They've just conceded to the theory of our post-capitalist markets, which is just Stephen's Halton links for your habit sustainable capital sustainable AI, particularly his workers by developing some typical human skills, i.e. communication line for the displacement of work in the force that rose to welfare capital allows our humans to enhance AI capabilities, which produces infinite goods and allows for limited distribution, building up a conscious strategic movement with AI, which created a slow, gradual transition instead of a reactionary revolution. That's matters. It supercharges the perm because it's the only way to get through the working class. Their links don't matter. It's not AI development. It is the status quo, which they can not solve it. But their arguments about why AI not being able to solve convocation is wrong because because it's about autonomy, not about convocation. But skip the card. Go to the second K. First, you can cross-site framework above and the post-capitalism stuff. The post-capitalism stuff from the I did above also answers the LPR K because the purpose will win us both of these. Mateos is a great on this matter. Specifies that human AI can work together. The very strong labor capital. And it means it is the reason we think China is a threat to our growth. That is the reason why we construct them like this in purpose. The affirmative would probably stop this because it means that we no longer see China as an enemy and threat to growth through the convocation process. First, their link arguments are wrong. First is that interventions can be good. Interventions that by NATO, the CIA were successful and ending considerable conflicts and wars. That's the Aeronite because psychological. That's the Paris evidence. They have one sentence answer. The Paris evidence is about broader trends. They have not answered. Two is that there's no link to security. The securitization is that's what they have not established a bring to They say self-fulfilling prophecy. What does this mean? It's arbitrary. Your Chinese are construction link that assumes that we stand as the role of NATO and U.S. and threat control. How we just explicitly acknowledge the fault of imperial power and prescribe a solution, i.e. trying to stop the weapons development. This is contradictory at best because it proves all of our cognitive warfare would solve this, but appends extinction outweighs. I mean, asterisk outweigh.
Sure. We're gonna start up. We need the timer.
Yeah, okay. 7:49.
Yeah.
Sorry, no.
Oh, that's probably. Order will be the cupcake and then the Asian American cake. Cool. Is everybody good?
Sorry, can you say the order one more time?
Yeah, it's the cupcake and then the Asian American.
Give me like
I want to
30
wait for Austin.
Oh,
But
okay, cool. Yeah, no worries. I can't really see my screen right now, so just let me know when Austin is here. Could you take this off real fast?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. Panel, are y'all good? And
Oh, sorry, can you give the order again?
yeah, cupcake, Asian American cake. Taipei American, y'all good? Cool.
Wait, give me like 10 seconds to organize my phone.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good.
All right, cool.
Concede that the Department of to cap is badge unsustainable. True military accumulation still exists, though. And on the condo, our interpretation is that we get what we did, and no CCPs and no contradictory cross obligation. I'm going for next fight. Debate at discord is the game, which means that you have to keep a balance. Any shift in fairness means you go negative. Otherwise, your bench will start losing faith, and the active also turns your offense. Condo's key tonight, plus one diversity, two incident choice, especially on this topic. It's massive as three large and uncontroversial dissents. Have no link uniqueness, and the counterplans are good, are bad. Two fallbacks, your bidders are fundamentally risk of which means when you multiple options. Three blocks, you have to attempt to stand back your best offensive rate. Big one to see that shift in the two ways. And the innovations of one straight turning the navigable checks one, no our interpretation of two and C counterplans and no cross your application, be straight turn to the one C stage two condos options better one block C down above B block version the block of fallbacks to distance but that can be innovating new positions and protect the army along one protect the army not the team and one substance counter then model justifies T and making T and RB up against times two they've also debated in front of this theory she felt because those are the most strategic and when they encourage its fire punch to the RB which is the proliferation issue turns to deterrence and persistency which is more probable proven by two scripting condo and picks theory two is burning shut the absolute burning defender anything else and then the absolute rules after the one and C that's used the negative manifest standard as well no norm setting one protecting the argument solves we lose something over and we'll stop and it's not just two don't vote in the potential abuse you have the jurisdiction for resolve in right clubs three just by two on the good two that gets condo proof onto the Asian American cake the yellow peril is now bone negative rupture debates suited to anti-Asian violence COVID U.S. Washington against China ultra nationalism demonstrate how racial pathology is normalized the structures social and political imaginary Biden is signaling that every policy is critical beating China every resolution I'm debating saying U.S. China war and Asian political topic courts not much narratives are armed vacuums but has specific consequences like the rise of anti-Asian hate crime all night nationalism threaten the social political life of every Asian American debate saturation of Orientalism slipped under the word local registers which means that you should overcorrect for racial bias because this activity uniquely triggers our conscious to justify racial norm because it's in baked into the curriculum one case turns case we went on the time frame that's our unique expressions but like as a status so we control unique means Asian anti-Asian policies in the status quo the specific cards in the corner preventing within the two and C searches the watch word evidence that the Petty John evidence show how continual China bashing only have fuel to the fire and their hyperbolic fear mongering make a self-fulfilling prophecy too. K always yeah because you always have the categorical responsibility as an educator correct for racist norms that actively exclude and expel Asian debaters etc. Interpretation of value competing in political imaginary they get their implementation of the fiat but we must also engage in the conversation about the rhetoric that they use one education of questions about what we should do to carry positions about political subjectivity it means that they can access case until they defended their ideology two link turns clashing ground case of the court of the topic three reciprocity fiating attitude plans doesn't reflect pragmatic reality means that the negative gets equal right to test its desirability not feasibility they say limits grounded arbitrary saying racism back is not an arbitrary standard it doesn't explode limits of ground we just need to make sure they justify the rhetoric don't let them cross applicate their cap framework shell onto the case they are separate onto the link debate the one AC cannot have to claim any link turn and no link arguments presented in the 1AR first they're not presented in the 1AR in the 2AR they're not presented in the 1AR the specific quotes that we have pulled from the 1AC show how racist literature has been baked into the debate where the 1AC includes stereotyping of Chinese subjects through the Betty John evidence where it literally says Xi Jinping is losing patience and China's Syria victory will inevitably inflict enough pain on Taiwan and these factors would determine which would deliver a blow to Chinese military power and put the CCP in jeopardy. What is Xi Jinping losing patience over? Why is Xi Jinping losing patience and what is China's Syria victory? They have no reason, there's no warrant for any of this. It's just a fear mongering. The 1AC was real evidence. It quotes support from Washington's Tokyo's armor room would fuel Beijing's narrative. Beijing's narrative for what? In the Williams evidence where it literally says China's lack of transparency is about what transparency? The card in the 2AC said that China's provision literally talks about bridges. They don't have a warrant. Why? China is a threat beyond speculation. We're making the distinction between realism and the threats and fear mongering. Realism operates as a way to predict actions, but that prediction isn't mellow, nor will it be accurate when it's based on xenophobia as proven by their quotes. Evidence has no warrant warrants on why China will start a war, and even if you don't buy that, they drop the deal of a 20 card. There's a couple warrants for why no U.S.-China war. One, no appetite for military investment. Two, Tigris has no sign of a pending war. Three, they're economically intertwined. And we're making the distinction between the material K and the rhetoric-based argument I'm going for is the racial grammar like extended ad nauseam bore a piece of venom for the critique of Asian violence debate only exceeds the question of the plan. That means only framework and the racial grammar they afford matters, and the alternative does not. Look towards expectations or can frame of the legacy anti-Asian violence is scripted through years of China saying each Asian proliferation. Two is the argument framework argument when they describe the K as unfair and unpragmatic, which results in Asian life as incoherent and irrelevant, disposable. Not only impact turns their education claim, but impact turns their framework standing and winning any risk of in-round violence against Asian debaters, any risk of the quotes pulled from the wanting to see as fear mongering, or any risk of a link means you prioritize the impacts of rhetoric before any other impact on the wrong. Vote affirmative, vote the app down for creating a problem which they are self-perpetuating. Racism comes before conduct. Conduct is a question about debate models. They have proven that the affirmative has forwarded research and the reps are racist. The argument is racism bad. They have forwarded reps. They represent their authors. There is nothing that China is an actual threat besides fear-mongering and speculation as proven by the quotes.
And their framework argument marking it or making a K as unfair shows how Asian lives are disposable.
All right, let me get a timer out real quick. 4:30. All right, 4:30 starting now. All right. That is. Is everybody back?
Yeah, what's good?
All right. Austin, Chris, Marcus.
I think we might be missing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Marcus, you good? The order is going to be conditionality. All right, is everyone good?
This 2AR is Kondo, not because we are losing the debate, but rather because the 2NR messed up so bad on conditionality. We are winning on Kondo coming out of the neg block. The only two reasons they've said on why Kondo is good is because of neg flex and innovation. Stick them to that framing issue. Even if you think the 2NR was pretty good on an internal link level, there are two big problems. One, the 1AR does no line by line. The 2NR has no line by line answers to the 1AR or answers to our impacts. Secondly, offense defense paradigm means you vote neg. A small risk of their defense to their standards and no defense to our standards means that we're winning a bigger inroad to fairness and education because their offense is just so horrible. Also, the KO racism does not turn Kondo. One brand new argument into 2NR drop. You should hold the line on new argument. Secondly, theory before substance calling us out for being racist even though we couldn't properly engage in their offense because the neg skew second and third out of the 1AR is our argument. Thirdly, this is just not true. Kondo exacerbates structural racism as it means big schools with a bunch of counterparts will always be small schools through ink chasing. This turns their argument about racism, and thank you for the K for impacting that out. So the first impact we have is clash 2. We can't engage with their arguments because Kondo screws up our time allocation. The 2AC is the only speech to generate offense, but we can't do that when they throw shit at the wall and just go for whatever sticks. It's the only internal link to portable education, and the only reason that teams come to debate is to learn. They conceded that the case argument in the 2AC on how debate is a game and how people come here to learn. Two words to this. Firstly, depth. They extend the position where we spent the least time on this grades and activity, where teams win debates by avoiding the act of debating, and nobody learns jack shit. Our offense is 2AC skew and ink chasing because they can kick this ads that we straight turn and they can kick this ads at no cost. And B, training. Kondo means that they can introduce any position risk-free without learning how to defend a singular position or ideological orientation in a robust or nuanced way. This allows for ethically atrocious arguments, advocacy skills, which independently outweigh because it's the central benefit to debate. And in addition, this turns their education argument. The 2NR has no game on this, but Clash turns their education argument because we don't learn about the best policy positions in a world where they just read tons of Kondo and skew the 2AC and just go for the most undercovered argument, which is a framing issue from the 1AR on why their education stuff is wrong. Also, they can't win the K turns Kondo because not enough work is done on it. And the 2NR and we are going for Clash anyways means that their innovation arguments and risk adversity arguments are useless. No cost of kicking turns their education impacts because it incentivizes ink chasing over Clash, which short circuits the process of producing meaningful argumented content. And D, the 2NR extend their own offense but doesn't have any real defense to our arguments about straight turns being good or Strasky means you can write your ballot neg and Clash outweigh. You can write your ballot app. Sorry, the Clash outweighs. We can't engage with their arguments because Kondo just messes up our time allocation. The 2AC is the only speech to generate offense, and we can't do that. The second impact is fairness. Their interp is infinitely aggressive and massively screws over the app. A, this happened in this round. 1 and C, 3 Kondo, and the block extends 2. And B, fairness is prior debate as a game, but if the game is rigged, nobody will play. Even if we lose the inter debate, the threshold for voting app is us winning that they were abusive in this round. No, the 2NR does no explanation on how neg flex solves any impacts, which means that it can't be in the RFT. And answering that straight, you can just straight turn the net benefit. This doesn't solve because they can still kick it. Proven in this round when we read an impact turn to cap K, but the 2NR still kicks it and goes for that the app is racist. And on skews inevitable, no inevitable skew, we can cross apply standards on T, which means which even the time constraint and straight turns at this adds. And because both have a cost of introduction that conditional positions do not, faster teams and resources don't matter because you can't solve those, but you can solve our impacts. Reject the team. The 2NR was brand new on why Kondo isn't a reason to reject the team, which means you should air app on all questions. One precedent, losing to TERS infraction that sets a better model of debate. Does no, and it does set norms. The 2NR drops the 1AR war about deterrence for future debates. It doesn't change burden shifting. We've made this clear since the 2AC. That's a reason to reject the team. Secondly, theory before substance. They made it impossible to engage with the actual arguments. And three, bottom line, the only reason that the 2AR is Kondo is because they've made the debate impossible to win. And it was just so mishandled. That should frame your ballot. And on Netflix, firstly, Dispo solves the neg. The Netflix is a one AC multiple test, but those tests must be robust enough to survive the 2AC dissats, which guarantees better counterplans and app research. And it justifies 1NR that didn't have it, and it's justified the 1NR didn't have a reason. And there is no Dispo why Dispo doesn't solve Netflix. And secondly, terminal, the impact is fairness that was done above, fairness education that was done above. And this topic sucks for the app. Topic drop that, which means there's no app fraud either from a lack of inherency everywhere, which checks out that solves. And they're too flexible, which is what we did. We get what we did, and then like literally screws over the 2 and 3s of the 1AR and kick it. They can't scrap the block. And also, shitty resolutions don't justify neg terrorism. All right. Good debate. Thank you.
Yeah, good debate.
Good debate.
Is everyone here?
Oh yeah, Wes is here.
Okay. Congratulations to both teams for making it to the semifinals. It was a great debate. The decision is a 2-1 for the affirmative.
Okay, I sat. I voted neg. I think the 1AC is racist and creates exclusion and psychological harm to Asian debaters, which outweighs procedural concerns. The 2AR concedes the neg framework arguments, being that they get to weigh the impacts of AF reps, the warrants for why racism comes before condo, which is that you represent your authors and their views and perpetuate anti-Asian models of debate, and the links, which display Orientalist assessments of Asian people and countries. There's a conceded 2R framing argument. The debate is saturated with forms of Orientalism that is unquestioned and underexamined, which means I default neg, especially when the 2R arguments weren't really answered. I think the 2AR arguments answering it were okay, but not enough by themselves. The small schools argument could be smart, but it's not really explained, and it isn't immediately clear why it turns their offense, because you don't really explain how larger schools having a procedural advantage or structural advantage would cause more anti-Asian racism or just racism in general. The neg also has a conceded uniqueness argument that debate is saturated with anti-Asian grammars now, so rejecting it in its clearest instances is good. I think the argument about condo incentivizing moral relativism and unethical positions is smart and could have gotten you somewhere, but it's not explained in a way that turns an exit offense, and it's not really unpacked in a way beyond just saying that it allows for atrocious positions, as I have the 2R quote, which I don't think is enough when not really clearly answering the 2R framing arguments.
I'll go next. So I voted affirmative because not because I think that there was a lot of in-round abuse here. And I actually had a comment about that framing later, but I think it's just because the out debated the neg on standards for conditionality and forward a better model of debate. I think that prior to any of this racism stuff, that was pretty late breaking to go for the racism links as a way to outweigh condo. I think that needs to be in the block for me, like if you're gonna like forward this in like a response to it, because I think doing that in the 2R is pretty late breaking for me, and I think I'm sympathetic then to their arguments that they get to make now in response to the 2AR. And even though I don't think that they're great arguments, there's no 3Rs that we can like go to argue these things. And so the area that I disagreed with Austin is that like although these weren't like the most persuasive arguments, that I kind of like see it as somewhat of a wash in comparison to most of the other standards, because there is the potential for, I guess, big schools to abuse it and to continue the in condo for to be worse for racism. So like I just ultimately kind of seen that as like too late breaking for me to like, just vote them down on, they make debate worse for racism, especially when theory was just so fleshed out for me. And I think that the sort of two areas that this settled down to for me was that their interpretation solves the offense that you forwarded and also has the external impact of clash and argumentative irresponsibility. This means that under an offensive defense paradigm, the AF wins. On top of that, the 2AR is like pretty good on, procedurals come before the substance of the debate. So like even if they were getting out debated, it was probably because of their lack of ability to cover those links because of the condo that was extended. So that potential area for in-round abuse also affects my ability to just vote them down on this racism thing. But the two important areas for me that I think needed to be for the 2R to win is it needs to have line by line. The lack of it in the 2R and the little time spent here in comparison to the 1AR puts you behind for me. And two, is sort of the lack of like impact framing on your impact means that the AF gets to do all of it by the end of the 2AR. And so I just think that the 2R probably needs to do a better job realizing this is their only way out. It's like that conceded link. Like I think that this like had you like just did like that link stuff and then just did like the framework stuff, and then you got to condo with like a good amount of time, more time than they spend in the 1AR on it, and then you just like clean them up on it, then just like I think that this would be a more neg leaning, this might have been a neg decision. I just think that the way that it was brushed off in the 2R, not responding directly to the 1AR defense puts you a little bit behind. And so that's the gist of my decision.
Yeah, I don't have too much that I disagree with over what was said. So the only thing I'll add is on the question of like, does you know the links on the critique outweigh Kondo? I agree. One, it seemed kind of new. Two, I think like at least the way I understand the link in the 2NR is just like China bashing proves that they're anti-racist scholarship. And if that's true, and then the way you're trying to prove this link argument is through this like internal link and impact defense, then it does seem that the 2AR's argument and the 1A's argument that like Kondo comes before the evaluation of this truth claim because that requires clash to happen. And if they win their arguments on Kondo, then they weren't able to adequately clash with that. So I shouldn't be able to resolve the question of whether or not it was anti-Asian scholarship to begin with. I think one place where maybe I have a different opinion of that is if this like recut was just like straight out maybe like a racist like depiction of China or Asian people. But I'm reading this evidence and it's just like Chinese military forces successfully seize a contested feature. Chinese leaders recognize that the operation will not be easy. These factors will influence Beijing's decision making. It's just like, okay, they are weighing different options before China makes a decision about military posture. Seems pretty benign. Like I'm just not really sure. I mean, maybe it is racist. I just didn't think there was enough work in the 2NR absent. Just read this recut. It's so racist. They'll prove our framework arguments, and I just wasn't that swayed by that. I think a broader kind of structural problem that put the neg behind on Kondo in my head was just like we're blitzing through the blocks and reading analytics like the cards. Like in the 2NC, the only like things I have flowed on Kondo is just like the word counterinterpretation without counterinterpretation because I didn't catch that, and then the word neg flex innovation, and then like something about perms, and then everything else is. And then in the 2NR, it's like a little bit better, but still just like very blippy, very fast, and we're not really like spending the time to flesh out the arguments. So that's why I voted.
I agree with a lot of that. I thought the theory debating was extremely hard to flow on the neg, and I definitely agree that neg evidence is like really bad. I think the evidence is extremely benign. Where I differ is basically that 2AR totally drops it, and 2NR characterization then guides me that like conceded app is racist. Like 2AR just like totally drops it basically, and which means like I give it the exact same amount of weight as if it were like literally the most racist thing in the world. I think the uniqueness argument frames it, like the kind of argument about like Kondo, like being a reason why they couldn't engage with the AF, mostly because it's like, well, if number one is like this wasn't explicitly applied to neg offense, and two is like I think if the neg is winning the argument that debate is saturated with anti-Asian grammars now, this is like kind of a way to like basically the escape hatch becomes a racist escape hatch. I think the neg needs to say that, but I think because the debating isn't really ever going in depth on either side, that framing argument basically just kind of makes me air neg. I don't think the 2NR argument is too new for me. It's just impact calculus. Obviously, the 2NR gets new impact calculus as of saying dissat outweighs the case. Here's why. Like I think it's pretty justified that the 2NR gets to say that, and the 2AR gets answers to it. If the 2AR had better answers to it, which like I thought definitely could have happened, I thought probably would have voted neg, but because the 2NR didn't do that, the 2AR didn't do that, I thought the 2NR framing was just kind of hard to overcome.
I think Austin, yeah, I think that's just probably the area you disagree. I just think like the procedural, maybe in my eyes, I just simply seen it as coming before it, the ability to evaluate substance. Because I think if they're right about Kondo, as what Chris was saying, it's just hard for me to evaluate, flows and like dropped arguments. Because like, would they have dropped them if they were unconditional? Who knows? And I think that question likely goes F on this question, at least when it comes down to the flow on Kondo. But I think that's our main area of disagreement. But other than that, like if y'all have questions, y'all can ask us.
Oh, I also think that I have no clue why you didn't extend the Turing test procedural. It was like totally dropped TKO. Like neg extends it for like a minute. 1AR gets no new answers. 2NR gives like a minute to an R. Like what's the 2AR? Good luck.
Wasu doesn't have any questions, but if TAS has any, I think the RFPs make sense. Yeah, thank you.
I actually have a question.
Jordan had a question.
Do you think like the 1AR like strategic choices, like how is it like just like general comments?
For me, I thought that the 1AR seemed like they were gonna go for like it made you your 1AR made it seem as if like you were gonna go for Kondo just because it didn't seem like you like the moment that you spent as much time as you did on Kondo, I realized how much like other stuff you needed to answer and how you like it wasn't gonna be possible. So I kind of thought that like your 1AR strategy kind of just set you up to go for Kondo. I didn't really see y'all winning if they went for the K. With the 1AR you gave like if it was just the yellow, like if it was just like the yellow K, I think like you like it would have just been like pretty bad. So like I think maybe if unless you were strat was to go for Kondo in this debate, I would not spend that much time on theory in the 1AR and then like probably just make sure you answer all the links because that was the most lethal area outside of that.
I have nothing else.
That's it from us.